Welcome back to I'm about to say the in game podcast.
My man, we take the promotion.
Welcome back to the Rondell Lane podcast. Today we got a very special guest in here. Dude is a transformation specialist, 1/3 host of the In Game podcast, an author. Like, how many books you got, man?
Oh man, if you Google me, Google actually says I got 17 titles, dog.
That's
17
crazy.
books. Yes.
When did you write your first book?
2016.
Okay.
2016, my first book came
Just
out.
a few years.
Yeah, just a few years. You know, it's just what they call that compound effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's Lynch Hunt, man.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, man.
Man,
Welcome to the
thank
show,
you for
man.
having me, man. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate you, man. Being here today is a little epic, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I say epic because, coming to Greensboro just a little over 10 years ago, I didn't know anybody, and you were kind of one of the first people I met, trying to get my brand off the ground. I think you were trying to get your photography off the ground at the same time. And, we kind of met and did our thing. And, here we are, I've evolved into all, some of those things you just said. And, just here now, just rocking with you, it's pretty dope. And, before I, throw it back to you, it's kind of like we kind of grew up and evolved together.
Yeah.
So, it's like wherever I see Rondell at, wherever, like I'm out, you might be doing something and we cross paths. It's like, there go my brother right there.
Yeah.
So it's like, you got like, you got childhood friends that you grew up with, like back in the day, and no matter what, like they hold a special place in your heart. It's like the same thing with us. It's like we came up as entrepreneurs together, like jumped off the porch, jumped out there together. So, you know what I mean? Wherever I go, I'll be seeing my man and be like, yo, that's my guy. So I'm happy to be here, dog.
Appreciate it, man. You might not remember this, but I think it was maybe like after our first project together, I did some photography at your home gym at the time. I think I followed you over to the Walmart
parking lot.
Yeah, we had a conversation.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy how like everything we talked about
Full circle.
it manifested.
Come
Like,
out. Yeah.
like I don't know who got our spot first. I think I might have had the studio, and then I talked to you, and you was like, "Yo, I got a gym," and it was on the same street, like 5 minutes up the block, Washington Street. That was crazy, man.
And we did
Crazy
another
journey.
photo. We actually did another photo shoot for that.
Right.
So I got these big like life-size posters in the gym. They're still there today. And we did those in that studio.
Yep.
Yeah, we did them in that studio. Yeah, it's
That
pretty
was
dope.
dope. So a lot of people know a little bit about your story. You had the Prison of Prosperity, going back to the books and all that.
Yeah.
And speaking on that, the first time we met, like I felt so it was years after we met when I finally found out the prison story.
The real truth.
Yeah. But I knew something was up, man.
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
you had, because you was like newly out.
Yeah,
Like,
fresh.
Fresh.
2012, July, I think I started working at the Rush in August.
Okay.
So you were a member there.
Yeah.
And that's when, I met you or would see you and things like that. So
Yeah, Quinzel introduced us.
Yeah, I used to work with him.
I was doing a little work with him,
Yeah.
and he was like, I know a dude that works at the gym. He's trying to get his own little thing going, and he linked us up. And I remember the first introduction. I was on the treadmill. He brought you over, and you came up like, it's like you had your brim low, man. Just like looking around. I was like,
What's up with my man?
yeah. So, but it made sense after the fact. Like,
Why he moved like that?
some questions, man, about like that whole experience. So for the people that don't know, you did 10 years.
10 years in federal prison.
Federal prison.
Yep.
So out of that story, the biggest thing to me is the year of solitary confinement.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? What was that like, man? Like mentally, because I hear stories where like that literally drives some people crazy.
Yeah.
So like, how did you?
Yeah. So, I think what's important is being able to have solid routines and rituals that allow you to, continuously just fill your cup up. I think developing the habits of exercising and reading and just reflecting, praying and things like that, those are the things that I could seek solace in, even in that small or tight confined space. Breaking my day up into chunks regardless of whether I was able to leave or not, allowed me to get through each day. And when I say chunk, I mean just, for an hour or so, you devote it to this. And then you take an hour or two and you devote it to that. A lot of people have to go to the gym to exercise. And they gave us, or was supposed to give us, an hour of rec, but they would come by our door and ask us if we were going to go to rec. But they would do that in an hour where we would be asleep. So they wouldn't have to take us.
Right.
So in order for me to go to rec, I either had to stay up and kind of just post up at the door to wait for them to come, the COs to come and ask us if we were going to rec, or just create rec in the cell. You know what I mean? Create recreation in the cell. Mm-hmm. So if I didn't go outside of the solitary confinement cell and when I say outside of that, I mean literally they would take us in a brick wall room, but the ceiling was cut out of it. So technically you're outside. You understand what I'm saying? You're literally still inside, but the wall is maybe 30 feet high and you can see the clouds. You can't see the trees. You don't see no birds. You don't see the sun or nothing. You're literally inside but outside. So they can technically say you had an hour outside of your cell. You know what I'm saying? And if you stayed up all night because you couldn't sleep, then you probably were asleep when they came by to ask you for rec. So just being able to exercise, it was something that allowed me to produce, dopamine, or to feel good, right? Dopamine is a feel-good hormone. Right. So if you can produce dopamine by yourself as opposed to a drug or an outside agent, then you don't become chemically dependent on a substance, and you can actually, produce that chemical or feeling for yourself. Mm. So I was able to do that by, exercising, meditating, doing things like that. I was able to continue to sharpen my skills because when they brought that book cart around, I was able to, grab something that sparked my interest or not. Mm. Prior to that, I actually read a book where I got a piece of information, and it was like, try to read a book every now and then that is not in your interest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It was dope because it was like, I don't really like this, or I'm not looking forward to this. So when the cart came by, there's not a lot of stuff that's on a book cart that, that's probably going to be exactly what you want. Right. So it was like, grab something and make this work for you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Which was pretty dope. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I think the dopest part is just learning how to, a skill that I use now, like kind of just reinvent myself. Learning how to survive, like survival tactics and things like that. I'll tell you a quick story. When I talk about survival tactics, we learned how to do something called fishing, right? We would literally take the bed sheet and we would rip it up into really long strips and create a fishing line. And then we would make an end of it that would have weight on it. So we would take the end of our toothpaste tube, right, and wait till it got to the very end, and we would put batteries in the end of the fishing tube to give it weight, and we would take a piece of a staple off of the mail, if they happen to keep it in there or something like that, and connect the end of the fishing end of the toothpaste tube to the string, to the line, and then we would take that heavy part with the batteries in it and throw it underneath the door down the hall to another cell or another person that could see it, and then they would connect their line to it, and then we would exchange reading material like magazines and books and stuff like that, or even food and things like that. And it would be dope because now it would give you something to look forward to, or give you something to barter or exchange, and you found like it's just like being on an island now, and you're able to communicate with somebody else. And it was just it was a great human experience for me because I was able to adapt. And in that case, it's like adapt or die. It's like evolve or face extinction. And for me, it was just like, this is not my final achievement. This is not my final destination. So you got to figure out how to do this and get through this, and come out better. So, the hardest part about solitary confinement was being down there and not knowing when I was going to leave. So most people come, they get an infraction, then they get their sentence, the amount of time that they're going to stay down there. But why I was down there, I did not know. So I decided that I had to fight. I couldn't just cop out to whatever they wanted me to say I did. So I fought, and I fought for like a year, and then they finally just transferred me on a disciplinary transfer. But I did things like, okay, I'm gonna have to make some noise. So I started to write like my congressman and things like that, and then bang on the door from the outside. You know what I mean? I had those people who were like really movers and shakers kind of calling up there, trying to find out what's up with Lynch Hunt. And I was making too much of a stink, making too much noise, and getting too much attention on the institution. So they're like, yo, get this dude out of here. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I just kind of, I've never been slow. So, you know what I mean? It's just like they wasn't going to do anything to me. You know, they did what they could, you know what I mean? And, you know, I made the best of it.
Yeah. So, like, what landed you in prison?
So let me take it back. First things first, I went to college to play two sports. I went to college to play football and basketball. And, you know, I got to college and I decided that I wanted to party a little bit more than I wanted to play. And, you know, my priorities were a little mixed up. So the partying led to, you know, sleeping a little later and not coming to class on time and things like that. That led me to, you know, my GPA dropping and things like that. And I decided not to, I decided to drop classes so that my GPA didn't go all the way down, and I dropped too many classes. I wasn't a full-time student. After not being a full-time student, I lost my housing, I lost my scholarships, and eventually I had to move back, you know, to my mom's house. When I moved back to my mom's house, I wasn't in school anymore. I was back around the way, hanging around those childhood friends that didn't go off to school and that were selling drugs, and I began to do what they were doing. They say you're some of the 5 people that you hang around with the most. So I was back around them doing what they do, and I always did things better than everybody else. So, you know, I always did things right, but I wasn't doing the right things. And, you know, I just became the best of the bad guys. So I started selling drugs as well, and I became the leader of an $8.3 million drug ring. The local authorities could not, you know, they basically couldn't figure out the way we were doing it and the level we were doing it at. And the federal authorities came with an 18-month investigation. It was called Operation Summer Heat. You're talking about tracking devices, you're talking about video surveillance 24 hours, you're talking about confidential informants, you know, everything that you possibly see on these movies and TV shows and stuff like that all happened in my case. And, you know, once that investigation was up, you know, I wound up going down for 10 years in federal prison. Yeah.
So what, as far as our community, why does it seem like you grew up in Jersey?
Yeah, I grew up in New Jersey, yes.
It's like definitely like inner city. And it's not just inner city because I'm from the country and the same thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
Like, what do you think it is that makes the young black man feel like to get money, it got to be drugs or sports? Like, why can't we branch out past this?
So I think the most immediate thing that sticks out in my head right now is the Ja Morant situation. I don't want to date this podcast, you know, but you know, right now everybody's seeing the situation that Ja Morant is going through, and I think it all boils down to influence, man. I think the music, the entertainment, and just overall, you know, perception of what you know, success is influence us. And sometimes we don't realize, you know, trying to get that too fast or not realizing our own value in the road and the path that we're on, we tend to start to, you know, do what everybody else does. And that throws us off and you know, into the wrong places and spaces and things like that. So for me, it was, you know, the only people that I saw that were successful were the people that were selling drugs. It's a little different now because, you know, people are successful in everything now. Like, you got streamers, you got YouTubers, you got real estate agents. It just seems like we think, you know, the rappers are the coolest. We think that the ball players are the coolest. And a lot of times they're thinking vice versa.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So now you got Ja Morant, who's making more money than a rapper, but thinks the rapper lifestyle is cooler than his. So he wants to be the rapper or the street person. And now that creates a conflict with what he actually does for a living and, what he wants to do for a living. You know what I'm saying? And now he's going to lose the thing that actually helped him and his family get out of, the streets and poverty and things like that. So it's bad and it's sad because the biggest thing is not having a male figure, in your life for discipline. Because as soon as we get to a place where discipline is involved, we don't. There's like a lack of authority there. It's just like, no, you can't do that to me. No, I'm not used to that. No, I'm not going to do that. When the ones that actually are used to discipline are the ones that say, you know what, I might not. I shouldn't be doing this. You know what I'm saying? Right. So there's a lot of different sides to this thing right here, but I think he's going through all of that, and to kind of become not just him, people like me, you start making more money than the leaders in your community or the older people in your family. Now it's like the 22-year-old is the breadwinner. Right. So it's like, well, how you gonna tell me something and I make more than you make? You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what's going on. And then once I start paying my mom's rent or giving my mom more money than anybody else has ever given her, or even her paycheck is, after a while it's just, I hope you don't get caught. But there's help. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? She might not say that, but boy, be careful. Yeah. Or, she might be convicted when she take it, but you might as well take it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, what else can you do? Right. So can you imagine if I'm just giving her $500, $1,000 and a couple grand or something like that? Can you imagine what is his dad saying right now when this he's 80 million, 100 million? I don't know what his contract is, but what can they say to him? Right. You know what I'm saying? Like he done gave them a lifestyle now that they would have never got. Right. If he didn't get this shot and this chance and this break, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, they're not doing their part either. Yeah. But they can't at this point. Right. You know what I'm saying? The only person that can help fix it is him. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, it's tough, man. But we're all going through this on some level. You got a 16-year-old in somebody's house right now that's bucking whatever their mom and them is saying because of the influence of the culture. You know what I'm saying? He's 16, he got the dye in his hair, he's probably got dreads right now, you know what I mean? And all these are stereotypes, right? Mm-hmm. And if I'm stereotyping you as a black man right now, can you imagine what the other ethnicities are doing? Yep. Like they're doing the same exact thing. Yep. Now you 16, you bucking your mom and them, and you saying, I need a tattoo, I want a tattoo, such and such got a tattoo. Now they coming home with all kinds of tattoos, and I ain't got nothing against tattoos, I just don't have none. You understand what I'm saying? Because I already know that I'm up against so many different things that I ain't about to add to it myself. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you work for yourself and that's your plan and all that stuff, but you ain't even got an education yet. So what you're not gonna do is tell me how many tattoos you about to get when you about to set yourself up. Yeah. Because you understand what I'm saying? So hey man, I'm 6 on one side, half a dozen on the other. I'm really strict with the stuff that I got going on because I've been on the other side already. And I know that most people will not come back from the type of stuff that I actually went through. And I'm trying to stop them from doing half of that stuff. So I'm in these schools, I'm in these jails, I'm in all these different places, like trying to give as much as I can so that people can take this information and make it work for them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Do you think it took jail for you to kind of, is that when you changed your mindset? Like going?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so I was a good kid, you know what I'm saying? But we are what we repeatedly do. Okay, therefore, selling drugs isn't an act; it's a habit. We are what we repeatedly do. Therefore, smoking it's not an act; it's a habit. So whatever people become is because they done it over and over and over and over again. So you took a good kid, right, and then I wound up doing something over and over and over again. I took all all the skills that I had acquired up until that point, and I put it into doing something wrong, doing the wrong stuff, but doing that right. You know what I'm saying? Right. So doing like I then just had to have that switch in my head to say, this is not me. This is not who I was meant to be, and this is not how you'll remember me. When that switch happened, I still had all those skills, you know what I'm saying? Everything that I experienced, and then I took that and said, okay, this is how we're gonna try to do it moving forward. You know what I mean? And I used that time as basically my schooling. I basically took that time and said, okay, now you're in college, now you're in graduate school, now you're in master's class, you know what I mean? Get everything that you need to give yourself the best possible shot when you get your chance at redemption. And that's pretty much what I did.
Little curious question here.
Okay.
When you was getting all this money back in the day, man, like what's some of the craziest things you bought?
Stupid stuff, man. I had $20,000 watches for every day of the week. At least $20,000 watches. I had not one bezel on them, but at least two bezels on them. You know what I mean? I'm talking about bezel and then a bezel over top of that, and then some of them had three bezels on them. Like, it's stupid, like really dumb things. Everything from Breitlands, Rolexes, Corums, Frank Mueller's. I had all different kinds of watches for every day of the week. I had furs for every day of the week. I named my furs. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even when I came home, like some of the things they didn't take, I actually kind of gave them away. I went and got a fur, cut and resized, gave one to my wife, gave one to my partner, King Canyon, gave him one, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. I just was past a lot of that stuff. So, I got rid of it, but just little things like that, man, it was just like you're wasting like hundreds of thousands of dollars on things that don't mean anything. You know what I'm saying? You get to jail and you got a G-Shock watch. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the reasons why, I still have a G-Shock watch today, just to kind of remind me of like what's really important. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And, but yeah, I used to waste a lot of money on clothes, jewelry, things like that, where it didn't mean anything. And every now and then I would actually have a C moment. So while I was still on the streets, I went home. I was probably trying to go out for the night or something like that. Went home to get dressed, and You ever kind of look in your closet and be like, you don't got nothing to wear? Yeah. But you're actually staring at a whole bunch of stuff? Yeah. All right, so I was literally staring at over 100 throwback jerseys that all cost like $350 a piece. Yeah, you're like, this is $35,000 that you're staring at, and you're telling yourself you have nothing to wear. And then there's another 200 fitted hats on top of the bureau, right? And you're like, there's 200 hats here at $25 a piece, whatever it was, 5,000, whatever it was, right? And here's another 30 grand here. There's like, you could actually have opened up a business for 35 grand. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And at that point, I shifted again. And I went to, I had a cousin here in North Carolina. She owned a boutique called Outer Skin. And I went with her to the Magic Show in Las Vegas. And I came back with like 6 different accounts. And I opened up a store in the mall around my way. And I started to sell throwbacks and fitted hats just because of, looking at my stuff. And you know what I mean? Yeah. So just like everything wasn't in vain. And that was my first quote unquote stint into legal retail. Gotcha. You know what I'm saying? And that allowed me to make over $250,000 in the first 8 weeks that I was open. Right. So, it gave me a different perspective before I got, locked up, that I could actually make legal money and, some really good legal money. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So all of those things helped me on my way through the bid, because it gave me the ability to see above sea level. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So where did the fitness transformations and all this stuff?
So that's a dope question. So remember I told you that I went to college to play sports? Well, when I went to college to play sports, of course, like when you're playing sports, your metabolism is crazy. It's through the roof. And you ever heard the stories of like Manny Pacquiao or Michael Phelps? They eat like 10,000 calories and 8,000 calories. Yep. So imagine eating 10,000 calories, but not having the vigorous regimen that they have. So I was eating all this food, right? But I wasn't working out like I was playing football and basketball anymore. And I started to gain weight. So I went from about 200 pounds to like 280, 290 pounds. Yeah, it was crazy, right? But being a basketball star and a football star, I used to play summer league, around the way in the summer and everything. You used to have these basketball tournaments and everything, and get money in the street. I had my own team, so I had my own team, and every now and then I would play. So one day, all my players ain't show up, so I had to actually play. Now, here I am, like 280 pounds, still thinking I'm a basketball star from back in the day. And I got out there and I embarrassed myself and almost broke my toe and all that different type of stuff. So I had another C moment, a significant emotional event. And I said, this is not me. This is not who I was meant to be. This is not how you'll remember me. And after embarrassing myself, I said, I'm going to lose this weight. And I lost 70 pounds in 6 months before I went to prison. And it just kind of sparked some stuff in me to say, man, what if other people want to do this? Or, what if you want to do this again and you don't really know what you're doing, all that different type of stuff. So that's when I started to kind of just buy magazines and read about it and stuff like that. Then I went to prison and I started to further my education on, health and fitness and wellness and stuff like that. And I took those correspondence courses to get certified. And I left prison with like 7 certifications.
Since I've been knowing you, I've never really caught you like out of shape, honestly.
Slipping.
Yeah. So that being said, like, what's a typical meal for you? Like, what? Well, not a meal, but a typical day of eating. Like, what do you?
All right, yeah. I mean, that's a pretty dope question, man. So one, I lead by example. This is like my motto. It's been like that my entire life. I've been the captain of all my sports teams, and it's all because it's just I kind of always did what the coaches wanted me to, or what I was expected, what I was supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? So I've carried that skill with me everywhere I go. So the name of my fitness brand is called AWOL Fitness, but AWOL stands for a way of life. So the reason why you've never caught me slipping, because this is my way of life. This is my lifestyle. You understand what I'm saying? So when I eat, I always kind of, I take the break fast concept with me, where I don't want to begin my day in a catabolic state unless I'm trying to do fasted cardio. This is me kind of throwing this science out there, but a catabolic state is when your body eats off of itself. Mm-hmm. So if you're asleep for a long period of time and then you wake up and you go do something that requires your body to have energy, and you don't have energy in it, it's going to actually pull from a reserve place, and then it's going to store some other stuff, because your body's saying, I don't know what this guy's doing, and I don't know when he's going to feed me. You understand what I'm saying? So at that point, it starts to store some fat reserves, and it starts to eat off of the muscle to supply it with the energy it needs to actually go out after it runs through whatever you have in that reserve tank. All right. So that begins the catabolic state, where it starts to eat off itself. So I always try to break my fast as soon as I get up. All right. So I always try to eat a little something before I go do, something else. All right. I make sure I have the energy and the fuel after I get up and everything. So I typically wake up and I eat something that has some protein in it and has a little bit of what I want to call slow digesting carbohydrates. Now, if that's usually it's oatmeal, it's cream of wheat, or some grits. It's usually, for me, it's 2 packs. If it was a woman, I would just say you just get 1 pack because of the serving and things like that. Now, that is because of what I'm about to do. You know what I mean? So it has significance in what kind of carbohydrates I actually eat. So the complex carbs give me something that is going to break down gradually over time and not affect my blood sugar levels. So it's not simple at that time unless I'm about to go do something that I need something really fast. So I'll do a mixture of something like, and it'll be light if I don't have enough time in between for it to actually break down. It'll be something light like an orange and an avocado. You know what I'm saying? So the orange will give me a simple carb that'll give me something fast, and the avocado is fat where it's going to take longer to digest. So the orange will give me something fast, and the fat will give me something longer to break down. It'll stay in my system a little bit longer. So I don't want to get too technical about it and everything, but generally for me, if I eat too many carbohydrates, I'll get fluffy. All right, and I say that because a lot of people don't know this, but carbohydrates are 3 parts water. So that means the more carbs I eat, the more water my body is going to hold on to, right? So that's how I actually get fluffy. Okay. So 3 parts water are going to be, it's going to hold on to, my body's going to hold on to it, right? So I personally eat a little less carbs than the regular person would. So I eat a lot of protein, I eat lower carbohydrates, and I eat a lot of vegetables. So now my meals are mainly vegetables and protein. Okay. Mostly all the time, except for my midday meal will have like my biggest portion of carbohydrates, which might be like a sweet potato or something to that effect. I usually wean myself off of carbohydrates towards the end of the evening, so I'm going to bed lighter. So all my body really has to break down is a light or a white fish before I go to sleep, which is very, very light, and the other trace carbs from the vegetables that I'm eating towards the end of the day. So if I'm waking up lighter, then I'm waking up, if I'm going to bed lighter, then I'm waking up leaner. You understand what I'm saying? And sense. That allows me to stay in that the state where I take my carbs and I kind of peak them by noon, and then I, gradually decrease them on the way, going towards the evening time. It's difficult, but it's not, it's just like getting lean proteins and vegetables, enough to repair and rebuild my muscles, and then enough to sustain the activities and energy expenditures that I'm doing throughout the day. You know what I'm saying? So, with that, I don't overeat too much because I'm going to eat every 2 to 3 hours. You know what I'm saying? So I don't rock off my old philosophy that I was probably taught where, you got that big breakfast, you got that big lunch, and you got that big dinner, you know what I'm saying? And you eat a little snack in between. It's just kind of like medium, and those about 5 good ones or 6 of them or something like that. And, it keeps my metabolism going and things like that. And there's so much stuff out there. And, I know you got a different regimen and things like that. So there's so much stuff out there. You got to kind of figure out what works for you. Yeah. And this has allowed me to kind of maintain that same nice physique I had when I came home from jail in 2012. You know what I'm saying? So I never really go over usually 12% body fat or something like that. I used to didn't go over 10, but I'm about 2 weeks out from 10. So what I mean, okay. I'm cool.
Were you training people in prison?
That's a good question too. Yeah, man. I think what people need to know is that wherever you go, there you are. And I've always been influential on my demographic. Like I said, I've always been the captain of all my sports teams. I was enhanced on my federal indictment as the leader or organizer of that $8.3 million drug ring. So, you're just talking about leadership. You're talking about influence, whenever and however, you find yourself. And, it didn't stop when I was in jail. So, I actually got called into the SIS department, which is kind of like the feds, kind of like the feds of the feds, called me in, and they were just saying, you got 20 people on the yard with you. Like, if we have a problem, we're coming to get you, because they never really saw like 20 different dudes from different groups rocking with one individual. You understand what I'm saying? So if I got somebody from the Muslims, somebody from the Crips, somebody from the Bloods, you know what I mean? I got my Jersey crew. I got all these different people. My man Black from Kentucky. I got, cats from all over rocking with us, just on some workout stuff though. They just trying to make sure that, this ain't no gang stuff. Yeah. But if we building a bond, so the fastest way to build a bond is with common interests or common enemy, right? So of course, federal government knows all these things, right? So if we can come together for some good, like health, then if we got a problem, we've been building this bond. I can bring the Muslims together. I can bring the Bloods, the Crips, and all that stuff. And they're like, yo, that's power. Yeah. So before they even get to thinking like that, let's let this dude know, like, yo, we on you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But yes, I was doing like a boot camp, like I do boot camps out here. Mm-hmm. I'm doing that shit in the jail. I was doing, how we do box jumps? Yeah. We was jumping on picnic tables. We was doing firemen's carries in the yard. We would take a dude, throw him over our shoulders, walk him down to a certain distance, and then squat him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, I was doing all kinds of stuff. I would do all types of stuff because everything is regulated wherever you go. There's always systems and stuff like that, and people have their routines. So there's only a certain amount of barbells on the yard. There's only a certain amount of dumbbells on the yard, and you know, you're not just gonna come take a group's dumbbells that had them in that rotation for 20 years.
Right.
So you might have homies that they might have gotten no beef, they might have killed somebody, and this they slot for the dumbbells. You know what I mean? And they're gonna pass it down to the Boston cats when they leave. The home way. So Boston about to have these dumbbells at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. every day on the yard. And you ain't getting them dumbbells because that's just the land of the law. You know what I mean? That's the way it go. So the law of the land. So we got to figure it out. Like, you know what I mean? And we might have something here, but we ain't got enough for 20 people now. Because now we got 20 dudes in our car, in our workout car. You know what I mean? So, yo, meet me at the track. We about to go over here and we going to get this money. You know what I mean? And when we go back, we're going to figure out how to use the barbell, the dumbbells, and all that stuff. And we put it together. I was putting together boot camps with 20 cats and stuff like that. And shout out to my man Black, my man from Kentucky, Dale Robinson. You know, he's home, he's doing gyms, he's doing the same thing. But Dale Robinson we met there, and he was a person who worked in recreation, and he would distribute the dumbbells, you know what I mean, all that different type of stuff. But we met because we was just on the same type of time, and he just asked me a question that nobody else ever knew the answer to. You know what I mean? And me spitting the answer the way he did, he was just like, man, this is somebody that I could learn from. And since from there, you know what I mean, we've been, you know, two peas in the pod and everything. So he actually went to other jails and would run boot camps and stuff like that too. You know what I mean? So we knew we was going to do this type of stuff when we came home or make it work. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's up. Yeah. How did so for y'all, once again, that don't know, this man is also brand ambassador for LuLulemon. Mm-hmm. LuLulemon is not our type of brand.
Right.
So
ain't small either.
Yeah. How did that happen? Like, what was that about?
LuLulemon is a global brand, man. I mean, I'm honored to be able to, you know, to influence, you know, not just like my market, but to influence the brand to do things for my brand. Right. You know what I'm saying? I'm honored, man. It happened the good old-fashioned way, and it's my model of marketing. It's serving and building value. You know, I built value with someone who was at the Rush.
Okay.
When I was at the Rush. So there was a girl, she was working out at the Rush with another guy. I think his name was Rob or something like that. He had a lot of tattoos. He was a white guy. He had
a big beard.
He had a big beard.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah. So this young lady used to work out with Rob, and he opened up a CrossFit gym.
Yep.
Not far from here, I think.
Yeah.
And when Rob moved and left town, you know, he sent her to work out with me. He was like, there's only one person that I would trust, you know, you with. And she happened to, you know, get a job at LuLulemon, and she was one of the people that were in charge of kind of like being a community liaison. And when they were looking for an ambassador, she just told the store manager that, you know, you got to meet this guy, Lynch. Story is phenomenal. You know, what he does is phenomenal. And I just think he would be a good fit. It took some time. I think she wasn't even there no more, like after it happened. But, you know, in between that time and everything, we had dropped the book, the Prison of Prosperity, legislation, the Prison Prosperity Act, you know, so we had a bill out there and stuff like that. And it was just like, you know, I think they saw that, you know, it would behoove the brands to, you know, kind of mess with us on that level. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I'm really a global ambassador, but we just haven't gotten to that part yet. I'm considered a local ambassador, but the things I do are global ambassador level. So, you know, it's going to be inevitable that we either take that step or we go in another direction and become global, you know, with somebody else. That's dope. But yeah, it's pretty dope. Yeah. But it happened through, you know, building value with one individual who had influence, or, you know, who had a say-so in whatever was going on there. And that's literally how we've done everything everything to this point. All of the growth has happened through service, experience, results, value, and opportunities. It gives us more and more opportunities. So we continue to serve in the capacity of our gifts, you know what I mean, and what we do, and then that opens up doors for us, you know what I mean, which is how we met Max and, you know, Rod and my partners on the In-Game podcast and everybody else, you know what I mean?
Yeah. If y'all are not checking out this man's podcast, definitely do so. I'll drop a link in the descriptions. Y'all have this is a dope pod, man.
Super,
I like
super
y'all.
dope.
Yeah,
Super dope.
I love it. We wrapped up here soon, but I do like to ask my guests, like, I like to get outside of business and what you do on a professional level. So, like, as a person, man, what's some of your hobbies? What's some stuff you into?
Oh man, I think this is, you might not get this answer from nobody else, but I think my pride is my family. Like literally being a husband and a father is like so top priority to me. It's just like you know, I got this saying is how you do anything is how you do everything. And, you know, I just like to spend the quality time with my wife and my daughters and stuff like that. So, you know, I just like to do and be the things that I didn't have and the things that, you know, they might not have had before I came along or something like that. So, you know, that literally, you know, I just love being, you know, just love showing the example of what family is, you know, supposed to look like or do or be, you know what I mean, stuff like that. But as far as my political answer is, you know, writing, making content, you know.
That's work though, man.
Not, well, it's not for me though.
It's not work.
Yeah. So it's not for me because, because I'm walking content, you know what I'm saying? The work part is capturing it. That's the work part. The work part is editing it, you know what I mean? But making it, it's like, damn, I wish somebody would have caught that. That was content, you know what I mean? And I just kind of love to do it in that fashion because I can repurpose it and it comes across so genuine, you know what I'm saying? So it's not work for me to, so I got, remember I was talking about how I teach one simple subject for the entire week, right? So that people can get the repetition of it, right? But I've been doing this since 16 on one subject. Now I was creating the content from 12 all the way up to 16, but it wasn't the same thing for a whole week straight. So I have folders now with the topics of, you might see in there habits or actions or motivation or whatever it is, you know what I mean? And these folders, there's all this stuff that I could just pull from every day and nobody would know if it's new or old, right? I don't do that. I make it up every day. You know what I'm saying? And it's because I love to create. And that's the reason why I have 17 books, because I repurpose it. You understand what I'm saying? I just continue to repurpose the content. I can pull from somewhere else. I have a base or foundation from something old maybe, but then I can take it and I can flip it and rebalance it the same way I did the Coke. I can stretch it. You know what I mean? So I'm still taking the same skill sets because all skills are transferable, right? And I take it in and move it into something else. And then all of a sudden, that content turns into a segment that's on WFNY News 2. And I'm a motivational, you know, I got a Motivational Monday segment and every Monday. And I'm just taking the same content and repurposing it. And it's just like, damn. And then she's asking me, Tracy McCain's asking me, well, dang, I thought you were just, I didn't know how you did that. You know what I mean? And then I finally show her my process. And she's like, wow, you know what I'm saying? So every time I move into something new, I'm actually bringing a totally different way to do it to those people. And they're like, oh my God, I never thought of that. You know what I'm saying? Which is dope.
Yeah. Okay. So as we get ready to close out, man, tell the people where they can find you at.
Oh, man, you can find me on IG, I am Lynch Hunt. You can find me on Facebook, Lynch Hunt. You can find me on YouTube as Lynch Hunt. You can find me on all the platforms, the TikTok, all of them as Lynch Hunt or I am Lynch Hunt. YouTube, you can find the podcast, the End Game Podcast. Look, you can just go to my regular channel. I do have some vlogs by my man Rondell, right?
Yes, sir.
Rondell's got me on some like straight dope next level quality for my vlogs, man. Y'all gotta check them out. It's where you can get that long form content. But you know, if you just want that little 1 minute motivation or stuff like that, then the regular IG is something you can get one every single day. It's pretty dope.
You be dancing on TikTok, man?
Nah, you know, I don't dance too much, man. You know what I'm saying? But I just repurposed that other motivation stuff and put it over there, man. I'll figure out how to make it work sooner or later.
Yeah. I appreciate you coming on, brother.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Y'all tune in to the next episode of the Rondell Lane Podcast, coming very soon. And we'll catch you, or I always say will, but I'll catch you in the next episode. Peace.
Peace.
All right, man. That was a good one, bro.
Oh, man, it's dope.